Hello, şimdi derse giriyorum ben de.
Hello.
Back. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Ahmad.
Hello.
I'm starving. Hi, Maria Jose. How are you?
Thanks, and you, Lisa?
Pretty good.
Okay.
Good. Okay, everybody's joining us. Welcome. I had a little connectivity issue, it said, so I wasn't sure if it was starting, but I see that it is now. So I want to welcome everybody to another Verbling class. It's the 5 p.m. Pacific time zone class, and it's going to be a reading and discussion class. I posted the link on the Verbling page, and I will post it again here in the chat, the Verbling chat. I see some people are already looking at it. There you go.
Lisa,
yes.
Could you post the link, please, in the chat of the Hangout? Because the Verbling chat. Okay, thanks.
Do you see it? Okay. Good. Okay, looks like maybe the class is full, so we can get started. I will start by introducing myself. Then I would appreciate it if everybody could say, just say your name and tell us what country you're from, and then we can get started reading. It's not really long, but I think it's an interesting article, and I would like people to have time to give us some feedback and tell us what you think about it and whether or not it's relevant to what might be happening in your own country with indigenous people who live in your country. So without too much other talking, let me just make sure everybody knows. I see there's some people that tried to get into the class. I think it's full. So as I often tell people, if you want to stick around a little while to see, you might be able to get into the class because sometimes people have to leave early or they lose their connection for some reason. And then if that happens, you will see the green join class button again, and you will be able to join the class. So some people have different things they have to do. So it looks like Mariah says she might leave in 30 minutes. Okay? So if you are in the Google Hangouts, you're going to be reading aloud, and we're going to be working on pronunciation and also comprehension, which means understanding. So if you have any questions, please let me know. So I'll just tell you, my name is Lisa. I'm one of the many, many Verbling teachers. I think we've been getting new teachers almost every day for the last couple weeks. So we have lots of classes available now in all the time zones, really. So there are people, native English speakers, giving free Verbling classes all hours of the day and night. So I know that a lot of people are really taking advantage of this. This is really a great opportunity to get some practice in for all different types of skills: reading, writing, discussion, conversation, academic English, things like that. So I'm from Washington. I live in Washington State, which is in the Pacific Northwest of the United States on the west coast, near bordering the Pacific Ocean and just below Canada. And I'm going to hear from Yosef, who we know is from Yemen. Hi, Yosef. How you doing?
Hi, Lisa. I'm fine, thank you.
No new graphics today?
Not really. I was busy with reading something, so I was not designing.
Do you do graphics for fun or for a job?
No, for fun.
For fun. Okay, yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah. Great. Well, welcome. And Tan, you're here today. How are you doing?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Your mic is a little bit funky. Try again.
Yes. Connection's very bad.
Yeah, the connection seems a little. The connection seems a little bad just because your microphone, the way I'm hearing it, sounds kind of muffled and like a robot-y type sound. So maybe you can work with that and see if it you can change something. Maybe, I don't know, closing some windows or something like that on your computer. I'm gonna go to Maria Jose. You can come. I'll come back to you, Tan. Hi.
Hi, Lisa. How are you, everybody? I'm Maria Jose. I'm from Colombia, and I am glad for be here. So,
Great. How many verbaling classes have you done already today?
Today about 3 because my connection is bad today. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's pretty good.
Yes.
That's more than I'm doing. I can only do 1 today because I work and I have to do stuff with my kids. My daughter is going to have a performance at her school. So she plays the violin and sings and stuff like that. So I'll be going there after the class.
Wow, your daughter is I don't know, talent? Is a talent girl?
Yeah. She's learning. She's learning the violin, and she loves to sing. And so in her school, she learns, and so they're having a little concert to show the parents what they learned. So yeah, she's 10. So, hi, Luz. How are you?
Hi Lisa, hi everybody.
Tell us where you are, Luz.
I'm from Colombia and I live to Medellin. And it's my first class today in Berlin because I was very impossible to get.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's kind of difficult sometimes since we can only have 9 people in. But they're opening up a lot of more classes, so even at the same time, there's maybe now 2 classes available, and I think there will be soon maybe 3 at a time. So that's we can have more people. Okay, Jorge, how are you doing?
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm from Chile, and I'm 17 years old. I think I'm the younger here.
Yes, probably. Have you? How many verbaling classes have you done today?
2.
2. Okay, great. And I skipped over Loe. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. What about you?
Good. And where country are you from?
I'm Loai Watani from Cairo, Egypt.
Okay.
I'm 17 years old, and I'm studying in the high school the last year.
Okay.
And my talent, I love to make music, to produce music, electronic music like trance.
Trance, dance type music.
Yes.
Cool. Awesome. Well, it looks like we have 2 17-year-olds and 18-year-old then. Tan says he's 18. So we got the young crowd tonight. All right. And Gökay, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm from Turkey. I'm living in Istanbul. I can speak English a little.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Welcome. Okay, and Ani Olku. How do I say it?
Hello.
Hi there.
Hello, I'm Mariette from Venezuela, and I'm living in Ireland and studying English.
Oh.
I'm 26 years old, and
Great.
I like Berlin. I think it's my 4th class today, so I will give up my seat for someone.
I'm going to start calling people verbaling junkies.
I'm fun now.
Great. Well, welcome. How do I say your name?
Mariette in Spanish. Mariette.
Maria? Well, it says Ani Olku.
No, that is a word with angel in Polish language.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. So, but your name's Maria.
Mariette, yes.
Okay, Maria. Okay, got it. And Ahmed, are you there?
Yeah, I am here. How are you, Lisa?
Good. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Okay, my name is Ahmed. I am from Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
I was with Maria in 3 classes, maybe in a row. Yeah, that, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys are hardy. Hardy means you can go through a lot. You guys are doing a lot of work today. That's good. Well,
Thank
great.
you.
Okay, so today in this class we're going to do some reading, and I'll put it up one more time, and then I will explain how we're going to do it. I will put it also up here in the screen share because there are people who are watching the video streaming live right now on Verbling, and they can follow along with us, and they can also go to the Google Doc and read along with us. I'm going to read out loud first, and then I will ask people to take turns and read. So the idea with this way of doing it is that you listen to me first so that you hear how to pronounce the words, and then when it's your turn, you do your best to pronounce them correctly, and if you have any troubles, I can help you. And then afterwards, after we read it one time through, we'll go back, and then we'll go for meaning. And that's when you can ask questions about what do the words mean, or what do these phrases mean. So yeah, so make sure everybody understands it, and then after that we'll discuss it if people want to tell us their opinions or their reactions or responses, and what comes to your mind when you read this article. Okay? So I'm going to start, and usually what I do is I highlight the part that I'm reading and that the other person will read. So I will read it. The title is Idle No More, Indigenous Uprising Sweeps North America. So Idle No More is the name of this kind of movement that is happening with these indigenous people, these Native Americans, people who were here before the white people, the Europeans. And idle, I'll just tell you to start first, that means to be idle means to like be calm or not doing anything. So basically their movement is saying to the politicians and to the governments that we are not going to be idle, we are not going to be doing nothing anymore, we're going to be speaking up. Okay? So that's kind of what the title is, and that's what the article is about. We're going to learn what is happening and what are they doing. I don't know more.
Referring to move.
Excuse me?
Move.
More?
Move. M-O-V. Idle. Idle. No more.
Idle? No more.
Idle. Flash mob. Who they are referring to mob?
They're referring to they're not going to be idle anymore. So they're not going to be quiet and not doing anything. Is that what you were asking about? Mob. Oh yeah, no, we're not there yet. Mob, yeah, they're going to talk about flash mobs and stuff. A mob is a large group of people getting together. Okay? It's also some other things, but that's what they're talking about. All right, so Idle No More has organized the largest mass mobilizations of indigenous people in recent history. What sparked it off and what's coming next? So that's the title, and this is the subtitle here that I just read. And now I will read the first paragraph, and then I will ask Joseph to read after I finish this. It took weeks of protests, flash mobs, letters, rallies, and thousands of righteous tweets, but Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper finally caved. He agreed to a meeting with the woman who had been petitioning him for 24 days, subsisting on fish broth, camped in a teepee in the frozen midwinter, the hunger striker in chief of Attawapiskat, Teresa Spence. Okay, Joseph, why don't you read the title and the first paragraph for us?
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I'm going to put it in the screen. There we go.
Okay, Idle No More. Indigenous uprising swept North America. Idle No More has organized his largest mass um, mobilization of indigenous people in recent history. What sparked it off and what is coming next? It took weeks of protest, flash mobs, letters, rallies, right?
Yes, that's right. Rallies.
Rallies and thousands of writers' tweets, but Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper finally caved. He agreed to a meeting with the woman who had been uh, peti-
Petitioning.
petitioning
Mhm.
him for 24 days, subsisting on fish broth, camped in a teepee in the frozen midwinter. The hunger strike and chief of the at
Yeah, it's an indigenous word, so I don't know. Atawapiskat.
Atawapiskat. Atawapistak, I don't know.
Yes, that's fine.
Spence. Oh, it's difficult words.
Teresa Spence. That's good.
Teresa Spence.
Yeah, that's her name. Teresa Spence. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, that's a hard one. The mobilization around Chief Spence's hunger strike has already grown to encompass broader ideas of colonialism and our relationship to the land. All right, and I'm going to read this paragraph too. No, this is not normal parliamentary process. The hunger strike was a final, desperate attempt to get the attention of a government whose relationship with indigenous people has been ambivalent at best and genocidal at worst, and force it to address their rising concerns. The meeting, set for this Friday, January 11th, is unlikely to result in any major changes to Canada's Aboriginal policy. Yet, the mobilization around Chief Spence's hunger strike has already grown to encompass broader ideas of colonialism and our collective relationship to the land. The movement has coalesced under one name, one resolution: Idle No More. So this is just like this part in yellow is just highlighting what it says here in this paragraph. So I'm going to just have Tan, did you get your microphone to work?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's good. So why don't you
Okay.
read that paragraph there, please?
Okay. No, this is not normal parliamentary process. The hunger strike was a final, desperate attempt to get the attention of the government whose relationship with indigenous people has been ambivalent at best and genocidal at worst, and force it to address their rising concerns. The meeting, set for this Friday, January 11th, is unlikely to result in any major changes to Canada's Aboriginal policy. Yet the mobilization around Chief Spence's hunger strike has already grown to encompass broader ideas of colonialism and our collective relationship to the land. The movement has coalesced under one name, one resolution: Idle No More.
Good. Closed-door negotiations spark a movement. The Idle No More movement arose as a response to what organizers call the most recent assault on Indigenous rights in Canada, Bill C-45, which passed on December 14th. Bill C-45 makes changes to the Indian Act, removes environmental protections, and further erodes the treaties with Native peoples through which Canada was created. Okay, Maria Jose. Want to read that one?
Yes. So, close. Give me a minute. Yeah. Closed door negotiation sparked a movement. The Idle No More movement arose as a response to what organizers called the most recent assault on indigenous rights in Canada, Bill C-45, which passed on December 14. Bill C-45 makes change to the Indian Act, removed environmental protection, and further erode the treaties with Native people through which Canada was created.
Okay, great. Okay, Indigenous leaders accuse the Harper administration of ramming through legislation without debate or consultation. On December 4th, when representatives of First Nations came to the House of Commons to share their concerns about the proposed bill, they were blocked from entering. A week later, after being repeatedly denied a meeting with Harper, Chief Spence began her hunger strike. Since then, the movement has grown to encompass 100 years' worth of grievances against the Canadian government, which is required by Section 35 of the Constitution Act to consult with Native people before enacting laws that affect them. Indigenous leaders accuse the Harper administration of ramming through legislation without debate or consultation. Okay, Luz, would you like to read that, please?
Okay, teacher. On December 4, when representatives of First Nation came to House of Commons to share their concern about the proposed bill, they were blocked from entering. A while later, after being repeatedly denied a meeting with Harper, Chief Spence began her hunger strike. Since then, the movement has grown to compass 100 years worth of grievances against the Canadian government, which is required by Section 35 of the Constitution Act to consult with Native people before enacting laws that affect them. Indigenous leaders accuse the Harper administration of ramming through legislation without debate or
consultation. Good. Okay. Even worse is the bill's weakening of environmental assessment and the removal of lakes and rivers from protection, says Ariel DeRanger, communication coordinator of Athabasca Chipewyan First Nation, which is directly downstream from toxic tar sands mining. She knows firsthand the importance of protecting waterways from waterways from industrial pollutants. Indigenous people's rights, she says, are intrinsically linked to the environment. She adds that the removal of such protections paves the way for resource extraction, bringing Canada closer to its self-stated goal of becoming a global energy superpower. This isn't just a Native thing, DeRanger says. This is something that affects everyone. Okay, so who's up next? Loe, would you like to read?
Okay. Even worse. Even worse is the bill's weakening of environmental assessment and the removal of lakes and rivers from protection, says Erica Ranger, communication coordinator of
Athabasca
Chipewyan First Nation, which is directly downstream from toxic tar sands mining. What? Sorry?
This word right here is mining.
Mining, yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mining. She knows firsthand the importance of protecting waterways from industrial
Pollutants, yep.
indigenous people's rights. She says are inter, intrinsically
Intrinsically linked.
linked to the environment. She adds that the removal of such protections paves the way from for resource extraction, bringing Canada closer to its self-started goal of becoming a global energy superpower. This isn't just a naked thing. The Ranger says this is something that affects everyone.
Something that affects everyone. Okay, Kosova, you're here. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm here. I'm fine. And you?
Good. Thank you. So we're reading here. Did you get the link? Let me put it for you here in the
Yes,
verbling.
I get it. I got it.
Okay, great. So I'll read this
Okay.
and then you'll be next since you're in the line there. And so begins the
Okay.
largest indigenous mass mobilization in recent history. Native people and their allies from all over North America have gathered to peacefully voice their support for indigenous rights. They've organized rallies, teach-ins, and highway and train blockades, as well as flash mob round dances at shopping malls. With Twitter and Facebook as the major organizing tools, hashtag #IdleNoMore has emerged as the dominant meme in the indigenous rights movement. Okay, go ahead, Kosova.
Okay, and so begins the largest indigenous mass mobilization in recent history. Negative people and their allies from all over North America have get here to peacefully voice their support for indigenous rights. They have organized rallies, teach-ins, and highway and train blockades, as well as flash mob runs, dances at shopping malls. With Twitter and Facebook as the major organizing tools, it land more has emerged as the dominant meme in the indigenous rights movement.
I'm just going to say, this word right here is emerged. Emerged.
Emerged.
Yep, good. Okay. All right, and Jorge, you're going to be up after me here. In addition to events across Canada, a U.S. media blitz tour has inspired solidarity actions all over North America, as well as in Europe, New Zealand, and the Middle East. Mainstream media and the Harper government are taking notice. Okay, Jorge.
Okay. In addition to events across Canada, U.S. media blitz tour has inspired solidarity action all over North America, as well as in Europe, New Zealand, and the Middle East. Mainstream media and the Harper government are taking notice.
Okay. Anger at environmental destruction in Canada boils over. But why now? The answer, says Deranger, is that people are ready. Idle No More arose at a moment of growing awareness of environmental justice issues, frustration with lack of governmental consultation, and widespread opposition to resource extraction on Indigenous land. Like the tar sands in Deranger's home province of Alberta and the diamond mines in Chief Spence's Ontario. It comes after years of grassroots organizing around Indigenous rights, which are, in the end, basic human rights. Okay. Okay? Are you ready?
Okay. Angers and environmental destruction in Canada boils over. But why now? The answer, says the Ranger, is that people are ready. Idle No More arose at the moment of growing awareness of environmental justice issue, frustration with lack of governmental consultation, and widespread opposition to research extraction on indigenous land, like the Tarzans Rangers home proving of Alberta and the diamond mines in the Chief Spence, Ontario. It comes after years of crossroads organizing around indigenous rights, which are, in the end, basic human rights.
Okay, good. And Fabricio, I see that you joined us, so you'll have this next one. It's let me see here. Let me break it up a little bit since we have a couple more. Hold on. Okay. Visit almost any reserve in Canada and you're likely to see third world social indicators in a first world country. High incarceration rates, inadequate housing and sanitation, reduced life expectancy, due in part to abnormally frequent suicides, lack of employment and education opportunities, and substance abuse. This, after more than a century of colonization by a government that refuses to acknowledge its identity as a colonial power. Okay, Fabricio.
Okay. Visit almost any reserve in Canada, and you're likely to see third world social indicators in a first world country. High incarceration rates, inadequate housing and sanitation, reduced life expectancy due in part to abnormally frequent suicides, lack of employment and education opportunities, and substance abuse. This, after more than a century of colonization by a government that refuses to acknowledge its identity as a colonial power.
Good. Meanwhile, Native youth are the fastest growing segment of Canada's population, according to Aboriginal Affairs. Is it any surprise that they're taking on repressive legislation and using social media to organize? Okay, Uri, are you there? Uri? Okay. I'm just waiting to see if Uri Ortega, is your microphone on? Okay, work with your microphone and I'm going to go to Ahmed. Ahmed, do you want to read that paragraph right there?
Yes, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Meanwhile, Native youth are the fastest growing segment of Canada's population, according to Aboriginal Affairs. Is it any surprise that they are taking on repressive legislation and using social media to organize?
For Canadians and potentially all North Americans, this is a moment of reckoning. Just as Chief Spence's hunger strike forced the issue with Harper, Idle No More forces us all to confront the ugliness of our collective colonial history and to recognize that colonization continues today. It holds up a mirror to our society, questioning the historical narrative we're all taught to believe. It asks, on what values was our country founded? And because identity is created out of that narrative, who are we really? And who do we want to be? Okay, let's see. Woody, did you get your microphone to work? Do you want to read that last paragraph? Don't think you did. Okay, Ahmed, why don't you just finish reading that last one there then, since yours was short before. Ahmed, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and read that.
Okay.
Yeah,
because I have muted my mic. That's why.
Okay.
For Canadians and potentially all North Americans, this is a moment of reckoning. Yeah. just as Chef Spencer's hunger strike forced the issue with Harper. Idle No More forces us all to confront the ugliness of our collective colonial history and to recognize that colonization countries today. It holds up a mirror to our society, questioning the historical narrative we are all taught to believe. It asks, on what values was our country founded? And because identity is created out of that narrative, who are we really and who do we want?
To be. Okay.
Yes, to be sorry.
Great. Okay. Good. Thank you. That was good. All right. So now I'm going to go back up to the very top, and we're going to go through it. But this time we want to make sure everybody understands things and learns some new things during this class. So if you have any questions about what a word means or a phrase or what they're trying to say, go ahead and ask anytime, and I'll be going through it as we reread it. And I see Maria Jose had to go, and so we have some new people. All right, except for Uri, did you get your microphone working yet? You might look on the on your picture. If you click on your picture, if it has a red microphone, it means it's muted. So you could unmute it if that's the case. Okay, so here we go again with the title: Idle No More. Indigenous Uprising Sweeps North America. So right there, even that phrase, there's a lot of things right there. So does anybody remember what I said that idle means? What do they mean? Idle no more.
Not doing anything.
Right. So to be idle means you're not doing anything, but since they're saying idle no more, they're telling us they are going to start to do something. Okay, and who is they? Who is this article talking about?
The indigenous
people.
Yes, indigenous people. And who are the indigenous people of Canada or North America? Do you know what the word indigenous means?
You're natives from that
yes.
place.
It's another name for native peoples. So these are the people who were here before the people from Europe came. Okay, so they were living here in what is now known as the United States and Canada a long time before the white people, or the colonialists we call them, came. Okay, and then indigenous uprising, that's another word maybe some people might not know. Uprising sweeps North America. So does anybody have another word that describes uprising? In the article it talked about they did a lot of different things, like they had protests, flash mobs, they wrote letters. That's what an uprising is.
Rose up.
What? Excuse me?
Rose up.
They rose up. So
insurrection.
Kind of, it's not really like it's peaceful, so they're not using any weapons or being violent, but they're speaking up. Yeah.
Yes.
So in some other countries right now, things are happening like this as well. Sometimes it's not always peaceful, and so if you were talking about something that's not peaceful, often in the newspapers you would see these words together. Armed uprising, which means the people who are protesting would have arms, which are guns, for example.
We now had an Egypt revolution.
Yes, exactly. Just like what's been happening in Egypt and other countries as well. And then this last part here, sweeps. Normally you think of the word sweep to like when you clean the floor with a broom. That's called sweeping the floor. But if it sweeps North America, it means this protest is happening all across North America. And North America includes Canada and the United States. So in both of those countries it's happening. Okay, I'm going to go through this here and just go make sure people understand. You don't have to understand every single word. This might be a little bit more advanced for some people, and you might not need to understand every word, but if you want to try to just get the gist, so you want to basically understand the main points of what this article is talking about. Okay, so it took weeks of protests, flash mobs, letters, rallies, and thousands of righteous tweets, so they're talking about Twitter, but Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper finally caved. So what does it mean to cave? What did he do?
To listen.
Yeah, exactly. Like he was saying, no, I'm not going to listen, I'm not going to listen. And to cave means to kind of give up. And so he agreed to listen to the protesters. And in fact, it says right here that he agreed to a meeting with the woman who had been petitioning. So petitioning, another word for that is asking. She was asking him, she wanted something, and she was going on a hunger strike. So what was she eating during her hunger strike?
Fish broth.
Nothing.
Yeah, she wasn't really eating anything. She was, looks like she was drinking, and they called it subsisting in there. She was subsisting on fish broth, which means she was still alive. So if you're still alive, that means you're subsisting. She's not thriving, maybe, because she wasn't eating any food. She wasn't like having a lot of energy, but she was still alive, and that's what she was eating. Is everybody familiar with teepees?
No, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's a kind of Native American. I will show you. Let's see here. Yeah, so that's a traditional tent. Yes, it's like a tent. And traditionally, Native Indians, Native Americans, indigenous people in this country and in Canada, they would live in these types of teepees, is what you call them. So that's what she was staying in, okay? And even though it was frozen in the midwinter, okay? And she's a chief. So she's an important person in the tribe. The tribe is the group of people, and the chief is their leader. Okay, so I'm just writing that in the chat there for you. So no, this is not normal parliamentary process. So they just basically say this is not usually how things are done for the laws, to get the laws changed. The hunger strike was a final desperate attempt. Who can tell me what desperate means? What would a desperate attempt mean? Do you understand that, Luce? Luce, are you there?
Yes, teacher.
You understand desperate attempt?
Is it like no place, not happy, and this not happy?
Yeah. It was like she's not happy, not getting any response, and so it's like, I can't do anything else, this is what I have to do. Like when you're desperate, you feel powerless sometimes, and sad, and maybe you feel angry, and so you want to try to do something. So she wanted to make an impact, and so she started to go on a hunger strike. Okay, a couple of other words that might be difficult here are usually the relationship with the indigenous people and the government has been ambivalent. That just means like nobody really knows what to do. It's not very clear what's happening with them. And the other one is genocidal at worst. So the worst type of relationship that they've had is genocidal. Does anybody know what it means to genocidal?
When you try to kill someone without making them suffering.
Right, so basically genocidal means they've killed them.
Kill many people.
Exactly, yeah. And so there's been lots of countries over the years where that's happened, where one group of people kills people from another type of group of people in the same country. That's called genocide. Okay? And they So they have these rising concerns. So things that are concerning to them. Rising means there's more and more concerns. So I guess they're going to have a meeting that was took place already in January 11th, so last month, because today's February already. And basically, the hunger strike became an even broader, so it means even bigger issues of colonialism and the relationship to the land. So does everybody understand the word colonialism? People know the history of the United States and Canada and how people came from Europe, and when people come from another country and then they take over your country?
Yes.
Yes, that's colonized. So the native peoples were colonized by the people from Europe, France and England and other countries. And you might know that the native peoples have a very special relationship with the earth, with nature. And so they like to protect nature. And the government of Canada doesn't always do that. And so that's why they're talking about the relationship to the land. Okay? So those are basically the main things that they're talking about in there. And the reason why is because there was this bill that happened that removed environmental protections. What are environmental protections? Ahmed, do you understand environmental protections?
No, I don't know.
Okay. Anybody else want to tell me what they think environmental protections mean?
Take off the security, the take care, the place, the people.
Of the environment, yeah. So the protections would be laws that protect or make safe the environment. Things like water, lakes, rivers, the air. So basically this law wanted to remove or take away some laws that were actually protecting the land where these people live. So what's been happening is they have been drilling for various things like the tar sands and stuff. That's stuff that messes up the earth, and it messes up the areas where the indigenous people are living. Okay, so that's one of the big concerns. All right, so here I'm gonna just jump to here because it goes by fast here. Indigenous leaders accuse the Harper administration of ramming through. So that's an expression that's often used in English and often in politics. Does anybody have an idea of what it means? If you ram through the law without debate or consultation, what do you think that means? To ram through something. Tan, you have any idea?
Just go over it without looking or caring.
Right. Exactly. So ramming through means you didn't really pay attention to what other people thought, you just did it. And so a lot of times the Canadian government and the American government and other governments are accused. That means people say that they didn't listen, that they just did whatever they wanted to do, and that means they rammed through the laws, which is the legislation. So some of these things, what is happening here is that these First Nation people, so that's another term that they use to describe the indigenous peoples, First Nation, it means they were there first. The problem is they are living downstream from this toxic tar sands mining. So a lot of times when you don't understand something in English, you can just go to Google Images and then you'll be able to see. So if you can look there, this is what's happening to where these people are living. So these big machines are coming in and they're trying to dig out various things. And so they're trying to get minerals or maybe oil or other things from the earth. and what this is doing is becoming toxic, which means, you know, it's bad for you. So it's toxic, where in their it's making their water toxic and polluting. So that's what they're talking about here. These waterways would be like their rivers and lakes and things like that. Okay. And so I want to give some people some time to talk about this. So let me just finish up here, going through. Does anybody have any questions, something that you didn't understand about the article? There's lots of different words that I could go over, but we don't have enough time. I want you to basically understand what it's about. Anybody have any questions before I go on here? Nope. Okay. So they're just basically saying that another key part here is that this is really not a good thing for Canada, because what's happening is if you go to any reserve, so a reservation or a reserve is where the native people live. They reserved special lands for them, and that's where they live. But if you go there, it looks like a third world country, they're saying, because lots of people are in jail. Those are the high incarceration. That means being in jail. They don't have good housing or good sanitation for where the waste goes. Like when you go to the bathroom, where do they have the toilets? Where does all that stuff go? And people don't live very long. That's the life expectancy. And that's because a lot of people are killing themselves. That means the suicides. And they have unemployment and the education, and a lot of people take drugs, which is this part right here, substance abuse. So they're not doing so well, the native peoples in Canada and also in the United States. On the reservations, they have lots of problems, and now they want to speak up about it and have the governments of Canada and also the United States listen. Okay, and so they're basically saying this is a human rights issue, and we need to stick up, is what they're saying. They need to, who are they? They have to answer these questions. Who are we really, and who do we want to be? So they want to, what we call, stick up for themselves. Okay, so now, after we've read it, and hopefully you understand it, does anybody have any questions? Okay, go ahead.
Does the government put them where they live, or did they choose to live there?
The government put them there originally, and they could choose to move away, but it's very difficult because, number one, they're with their families, and so that's, you know, a lot of people don't want to move away from their families. And also because the conditions aren't very good on the reservations, so many people don't get a very good education, or they're not that healthy. Maybe they take drugs because it's a very poor situation for them. So if they could, they would probably try to move away, but I think most of the indigenous people prefer to stay with their families and their cousins and their aunts and uncles, because that's very important to them.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody in the class know about native peoples in their country, and do they have similar problems? Because most countries these days have native populations, and then they have the ruling government is of a different ethnicity usually in a lot of countries.
Here in Argentina, the main problem with the native people is that when they decide to move, they do all together, you know, they are like a big community, so
yeah,
the government has to look for a lot of land for them.
Mm-hmm. So do they also live on reservations, or?
Yes, like a kind of neighborhood, specially prepared for them.
Yes, that's what a reservation is, yes. And are the conditions for the native people good or not so good?
I think quite good, but they have different culture, so sometimes they refuse to accept the conditions that the government give to them.
I see. Is there, do the native peoples protest that?
No, I think that they want to stay in the place where they belong, but then people, you know, to make or to build shoppings or things like that,
Yeah.
they are trying to buy their lands. There is anything they can do
Yeah.
to defend themselves.
Right. Okay. Kosova, do you have any response to the article?
In my country, when I tax improving, the people are riot.
They riot?
Yes, right.
Okay.
People
Right.
riot.
Yeah. That's like a protest?
Yes.
Yes.
Like protest.
Uh-huh. So remind us what country you're in, because you missed out on the introductions.
Say again, please.
What country are you in?
Okay. I'm in Turkey now.
Okay, right. All right. Okay. So are there native peoples in Turkey?
Oh, I didn't catch you again.
Okay. Are there indigenous people or native people in Turkey, living in Turkey?
Yes.
And how are they treated?
How
are they treated? How do people treat them?
treat them? What does it mean treated? I
Like,
don't know.
are they nice to native people? Are they friendly or not? To treat somebody means, how do you talk to them? Do they have rights? Can they do things that other people can do? Like that.
I can do it.
Okay. Luz, do you understand?
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yes, teacher. Yes.
So in your country, how are the indigenous people treated?
I don't know. I don't know much about this topic in my country, because I never I can see the problem or the rise the native people. Now when I was reading the text, I was thinking about that, and I awareness. In my country, there are many indigenous in the government. Not many, a little, a few, but
A few,
it's very, but it's important, because they have a place in our government, and he can express their feeling, the situation. But it's possible to find something problem near the la Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta.
Yeah.
Because there are many rich, I don't know, many natural great
Natural resources.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's possible to private empowerment.
Yes.
Looks how take these things, the resources.
Yes. Yes. Great.
Lisa,
Yes.
I understand your question now.
Okay.
Great.
It's late, sorry.
No problem. Good.
In my country, the government sometimes make some new rules for the trade. if I doesn't work, people and the policy of, and how can I say, op,
Yes, I
can you
can
hear
hear you.
me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Ah, okay. People and policy of, how can I kick, or I don't know, how can I say the verb?
Which one? Where they, if they don't like what's happening? Is that what you said?
I can hear someone.
Did you say that when they don't like what's happening? Maybe
I
can you hear me?
think
Maybe.
they are treated bad.
Yes.
They are
Yeah.
kicked.
Oh, they kick them out. Okay. Yeah. Yes. So that's basically what this article is about. In the chat, I got a message from somebody. I can summarize it pretty simply, actually. It's just saying that the indigenous people in Canada are not happy with how they have been treated, and they are going to speak up now, and they want the government to listen. So they don't want to live in places that are being polluted. They don't want to be treated badly by the government. They want to be listened to. And so I imagine that's similar for indigenous people everywhere, and even other peoples. That's why they're sometimes governments get overthrown, or sometimes there are revolutions, there's protests, things that are happening in different countries around the world even today. So that's what the article was about. If you're curious and you want to improve your vocabulary about this, then I would recommend going through the article again and looking up some of the words so that you can understand them, because this article is an example of something that you would read in the newspaper or in a magazine, and so it would be a good idea to be able to understand the vocabulary. So if you didn't understand it very well, it will be up on the Google Doc, and I also gave the link to the actual website, and you can study it on your own if you want to. Okay? So you guys did a great job reading. You guys are really good, doing good with your pronunciation. There weren't too many errors in that. I just would suggest looking up some of those words so that you can understand them better and start using them in your own writing and in your speaking. Okay? Okay, everybody, I have to go watch my daughter play violin and sing. So I gotta go. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good
Bye.
have a good day. Have a good night.
Bye.
I'll see you another time. Bye bye, everybody.
See
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.
Çocuk şimdi derse giriyorum ben de.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Ahmad.
Hello.
Starving. Hi, Maria Jose. How are you?
Thanks, and you, Lisa?
Pretty good.
Okay.
Good. Okay, everybody's joining us. Welcome. I had a little connectivity issue, it said, so I wasn't sure if it was starting, but I see that it is now. So I want to welcome everybody to another Verbling class. It's the 5 p.m. Pacific time zone class, and it's going to be a reading and discussion class. I posted the link on the Verbling page, and I will post it again here in the chat, the Verbling chat. I see some people are already looking at it. There you go.
Lisa,
yes.
Could you post the link, please, in the chat of the Hangout? Because the link chat. Okay, thanks.
Do you see it? Okay. Good. Okay, looks like maybe the class is full, so we can get started. I will start by introducing myself. Then I would appreciate it if everybody could say just say your name and tell us what country you're from, and then we can get started reading. It's not really long, but I think it's an interesting article, and I would like people to have time to give us some feedback and tell us what you think about it and whether or not it's relevant to what might be happening in your own country with indigenous people who live in your country. So without too much other talking, let me just make sure everybody knows. I see there's some people that tried to get into the class. I think it's full. So as I often tell people, if you want to stick around a little while to see, you might be able to get into the class, because sometimes people have to leave early or they lose their connection for some reason. And then if that happens, you will see the green join class button again, and you will be able to join the class. So some people have different things they have to do. So it looks...
It's bad today, so...
Okay. Yeah, well, that's pretty good.
Yes.
That's more than I'm doing. I can only do one today because I work and I have to do stuff with my kids. My daughter is going to have a performance at her school. So she plays the violin and sings and stuff like that. So I'll be going there after the class.
Wow, your daughter is I don't know, talent? Is a talent girl?
Yeah, she's learning. She's learning the violin, and she loves to sing. And so in her school, she learns, and so they're having a little concert to show the parents what they learned. So yeah, she's 10. So, hi, Luz. How are you?
Hi, Lisa. Hi, everybody.
Tell us where you are, Luz.
I'm from Colombia, and I live to Medellin. And it's my first class today in Berlin because I was very impossible to get.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's kind of difficult sometimes since we can only have 9 graphics today.
Not really. I was busy with reading something, so I was not designing.
Do you do graphics for fun or for a job?
No, for fun.
For fun. Okay, yeah, it's pretty fun. Great. Well, welcome. And Tan, you're here today. How are you doing?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Your mic is a little bit funky. Try again.
Yes. Connection's very bad.
Yeah, the connection seems a little. The connection seems a little bad, just because your microphone, the way I'm hearing it, sounds kind of muffled and like a robot-y type sound. So maybe you can work with that and see if you can change something. Maybe, I don't know, closing some windows or something like that on your computer. I'm gonna go to Maria Jose. You can come. I'll come back to you, Tan.
Hi, Lisa. How are you, everybody? I'm Maria Jose. I'm from Colombia, and I am glad to be here. So,
great. How many verbaling classes have you done already today?
Today about 3 because my connection.
Like Mariah says, she might leave in 30 minutes. Okay. So if you are in the Google Hangouts, you're going to be reading aloud, and we're going to be working on pronunciation and also comprehension, which means understanding. So if you have any questions, please let me know. So I'll just tell you, my name is Lisa. I'm one of the many verbaling teachers. I think we've been getting new teachers almost every day for the last couple weeks. So we have lots of classes available now in all the time zones, really. So there are people, native English speakers, giving free verbaling classes all hours of the day and night. So I know that a lot of people are really taking advantage of this. This is really a great opportunity to get some practice in for all different types of skills: reading, writing, discussion, conversation, academic English, things like that. So I'm from Washington. I live in Washington State, which is in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, on the West Coast, near bordering the Pacific Ocean and just below Canada. And I'm going to hear from Yosef, who we know is from Yemen. Hi, Yosef. How you doing?
Hi, Liz. I'm fine, thank you.
No new